somebody's gonna track that.
Somebody's gonna figure that out. But okay, we're actually recording now. So, as the saying goes, is this thing on?
Yeah.
All right, well, welcome to the Streaming Screams podcast. Wait, did we decide to take turns doing introductions?
No,
okay.
We didn't decide anything.
Do you want to do the introduction this time? I'm pretty sure I did the one for the last episode.
No, I think I did.
You know what? We don't even know what order these are going out in, so I guess it doesn't matter.
Here, we can do this. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the Streaming Screams podcast. Nobody's going to listen past this part.
We're doing great.
All right. I am Glenn. I am here with Jessica.
Hello.
And we're here to talk about some horror movies.
It's kind of a special episode, remember?
Yes. We chose our movies for the day based on the fact that very soon we are going to be attending the Freaks on Parade tour featuring Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. It's going to be a big deal, so we picked a Rob Zombie movie and a movie featuring Alice Cooper.
Yep.
So we're going to start off today, I think, talking about Prince of Darkness. Prince of Darkness is, in my opinion, John Carpenter's most underrated movie. It was released in 1987, written by John Carpenter under the name Martin Quatermass.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And directed, of course, by John Carpenter, with music by John Carpenter.
So when this came out, people didn't know it was a John Carpenter movie?
No, it was. I put that in the wrong box there. That should be in the written by box. It was written by under the name Martin Quatermass, but it was directed by John Carpenter.
Oh, okay.
And as usual, I'm pretty sure on the box it says John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness.
Sure, but I'm just saying when it first came out.
I think people knew that it was a John Carpenter movie, but I also, I don't remember how people discussed horror movies back then. So I don't know if people actually knew. Actually, Halloween, you know what? That is a lie. I actually do know this, and it was something that I was thinking about bringing up. I'm pretty sure I have seen John Carpenter talk about how one of the smartest things that he ever did as a filmmaker was to put his name on the top of every movie because it established him as an attraction.
Like it was always John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah. It was always John Carpenter's Halloween. It was John Carpenter's The Thing.
Well, that's also because that's kind of a remake.
Yeah.
So that's actually just.
But he did it with all of his movies specifically so he could make himself the attraction, which worked.
Not right away. I
don't know if it worked right away, but I'll tell you, as somebody who 40 years later has every movie he's done except 2 on some sort of physical media, and I do plan on getting those 2. The 2 that I don't have are Memoirs of an Invisible Man and Elvis. I do actually have the made-for-TV movie that he did, which at some point we should do a made-for-TV movie.
The Body Bags?
No, it was called Somebody's Watching Me. And it's sort of it's about a woman living in a high-rise who thinks that somebody is watching her from a neighboring high-rise. Yeah.
Because there's like a new movie that's about the exact same thing called Watcher.
So Watcher is a little bit different because it takes place in Europe, which means that the woman is in like a very foreign environment. We should absolutely do a thing on Watcher. It's really good.
It's all right. I had high hopes. I was like following it before it came out, so I feel like I was like...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not have any idea what it was.
Yeah, I knew about it before it came out, and when then watched it, I was like, it's all right.
Katie and I were in the hotel at the time, and I just was bored one night. I don't remember what Katie was doing. She was probably working. I threw it on, and I really liked it, but I also had nothing... I also had no preconceived notions.
Yeah, it was like hype. Well, because I also have the problem of reading horror magazines.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if it's a problem, but it's just like I often know about things before. Like,
yeah.
Just an average person.
I mean, I try not to get myself too hyped for things.
I don't either. I wasn't hyped for it, but it was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then I thought it was kind of standard.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
Thing.
Yeah, we'll do a thing on it. We should probably actually talk about the movies at hand. So, Prince of Darkness, released in 1987, written by John Carpenter as Martin Quatermass, directed by John Carpenter, music by John Carpenter. We've got a cast that includes some of John Carpenter's favorite folks to work with. We've got Donald Pleasance as the priest. We've got Victor Wong as Professor Howard Birack. We've got Jameson Parker as Brian Marsh. Brian Mustache Marsh. He's got that great mustache going.
The 80s, the dad stash.
Yeah, the 80s dad stash. Lisa, I need glasses. I think that says Blount as Catherine Danforth. Dennis Dunn as Walter Fong.
Which I have things to talk about.
Guy. I know you do.
We a point of discussion.
And then Susan Blanchard as Kelly, an interesting character because she's so unassuming in the first half and then becomes so goddamn essential to everything.
Yeah, she looks like the chick from 90210. Donna?
I have no idea. I watched like a few episodes of the first season, but that was really about the time that I stopped watching TV when I was younger. And then we've got Alice Cooper as the street schizo, which is probably not the most, culturally sensitive name, politically correct. I don't want to use the term political correctness.
What? For what name?
Street schizo.
Oh, well,
Not the best. It's
Andrea.
pretty funny.
Sorry, she looks like Andrea.
People
are... There's going to be a couple people out there that are mad that I said Donna.
Yeah. We're gonna get some hate mail. You're gonna get some angry comments.
I used to watch 90210 with like my family, the reruns during dinner. That's what my sister and my mom wanted to watch, so I had to watch also. You know how it is.
I do know how it is. I remember growing up watching garbage that I didn't want to watch, which might be why I stopped watching TV for so many years. Because really, for years and years, I think probably about 10 years, it was like I would watch Monster Vision and wrestling and maybe MTV, and that was it.
I often watched MTV on mute while I was listening to my own music.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because the videos are cool.
Yeah, the videos are cool. Speaking of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, we'll get to that too later.
Yes. Yeah, those are the people of note. The movie starts off with, spoiler warning for a movie from 1987.
Well, yeah. It's not new. It's a recap. Watch it or don't.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, hopefully we'll help you make a decision on that. A life-changing decision of whether to watch 1987's John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness. Movie starts off, the priest invites Professor Howard Birack and his physics students to join him at the monastery belonging to the Brotherhood of Sleep to examine a recent discovery in the basement. They find that the basement contains an ancient corroded cylinder full of a spinning green liquid and a thick ancient text that seems to have been altered numerous times. This is when we start to meet more of the characters. Brian and Catherine get romantic, which I guess is the sort of halfway useful romance plot in the movie.
It's like they fuck once and then they're like, I love you, don't say it.
It is weird. I mean, sometimes the sex is just that banging.
I guess.
When you're, I guess they're grad students, so they're not exactly college students. So the priest wants the professor and his students to study the cylinder and decipher the book so that he can share the forbidden knowledge contained therein with the world. And as they do, the local homeless population seems to be kind of entranced and affected by whatever is going on. They find that the text contains everything from new passages of sermons given by Jesus that lend a very different context to Christianity as a whole, to differential equations, which did not exist. We hadn't really discovered, invented, I don't know, come up with.
It was before their time.
Yeah, it was before differential equations were a deal. About this time, a student decides to to get some fresh air and is murdered by a homeless Alice Cooper. The container also begins leaking.
Well, also, it's not just leaking, it's leaking into the ceiling. The drips are going up.
Yeah, kind of an important thing there. It is defying the laws of physics.
Defying.
Did I say defining twice?
You said...
Defying the laws of physics by escaping upward from the container and pooling on the ceiling. The group has a meeting to discuss their findings so far. According to the text, the cylinder was buried eons ago by the father of the devil, and that the container contains Satan himself in the form of that weird green liquid. According to this text, Christ later comes to warn us about Satan being here and is executed for heresy in a statement that has surprisingly little bearing on anything else that goes on in this movie. Apparently, Jesus was an extraterrestrial.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Oh, yeah. It's just like a throwaway line. And you're like, excuse me?
You know, this is one of those things about this movie.
I mean, I guess if he is the son of God, he is kind of.
I mean, by definition, that would make you extraterrestrial. But
it's just so said in a blasé, just like,
So Jesus, who, by the way, was an alien, it comes, it's really kind of like that.
That's not what we're here to discuss.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of is, because one of the things that I found really interesting in this movie is that John Carpenter clearly had this very cool idea, making a horror movie based on, physics versus the spiritual. And in a lot of ways he succeeds, but there's also sort of clearly some very surface level things that he understands and, tries to throw some references in there. Like, there's this whole discussion about Schrodinger's cat, the internet's favorite fucking thought experiment that I am so sick of hearing about.
Well, I agree with the guy in the movie that it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, the cat's either dead or alive. It doesn't matter if you look at it.
Yeah.
It's not suspended in time.
Like, I understand what he means on a metaphorical sense, but it's a dumb thought experiment. But for some reason, people think it's like the coolest thing. And yeah, it's one of the things that's thrown in here. To be fair, back in 1987, the internet hadn't beat this over my head for decades.
Well, let me tell you this. Also, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there, it still makes a fucking sound.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if a tree falls in space, it doesn't matter if anybody's there. It wouldn't
be falling.
Ooh, he got me there. Arguments start to break out between the students who believe in what they're seeing and the students who refuse to believe because it goes so starkly against their understanding of science. The irony being that they refuse to believe their own findings because of their own faith in the classical science that they understand, which is, I find funny and ironic. And I think it's supposed to be part of the point, but it's kind of a thread that gets dropped. I feel like John Carpenter tried to say a number of things in this movie, but a lot of the threads get dropped when it comes time for the killings. The findings reveal that the father of Satan is an anti-god who is associated with antimatter and who brings darkness from a mirror dimension of sorts, which will become weirdly literal later on. A few people have fallen asleep, and it is revealed that everyone who sleeps in this building has the same dream. The dream appears to be a tachyon-based message sent from the future warning about something. As the movie goes on, the dreams become clearer and more detailed. Students become possessed or are murdered one by one. And Kelly, who did not seem very important through most of the movie, is chosen to be the vessel of Satan and chosen as the one who's going to bring the anti-god into our world. Eventually, all of the dead students are revived and also possessed, at which point they're able to fully open the container, which allows all of the liquid to escape and take full possession of Kelly. First making her look pregnant, and then instead of giving birth, she just sort of becomes horrifically deformed and disfigured and starts, I guess, basically being Satan. herself. During the final attack, Kelly is trying to pull the anti-god into our world through a large mirror because, again, this got weirdly literal, weirdly suddenly. So she reaches into this mirror, she's trying to pull Satan out, or she's trying to pull the anti-god out. As this is going on, the possessed trap everybody in different rooms, but eventually they all break out. And during the final big confrontation, as Kelly is pulling anti-god from a very large mirror, Catherine tackles Kelly, and they both fall into the mirror, falling into the darker universe, and the priest, being, very respectful of innocent life, immediately destroys the mirror with an axe, trapping Kelly, Satan, anti-god, and poor Catherine in the dark mirror dimension. When this happens, the possessed all die, and all the homeless people just sort of snap out of it and wander off. Later on, it's revealed that Brian is still having the transmission dream. It has become much more clear, and it is revealed that the dream is a transmission from the year 1999 in what is the coolest sound effect ever in any movie, in my opinion, sent back as a warning. But with the dream clear, it is revealed that the shadowy figure everybody has been seeing in the dream is a possessed Catherine. He wakes up to find a deformed, possessed Catherine in his bed. In typical Carpenter fashion, this is a fake ending, and then he wakes up. Apparently in real life, he starts reaching slowly towards a mirror, and right when he's about to touch it, the camera cuts to black. And that's the end. This movie is fucking awesome. I love this movie.
It's all right.
The theme of this recording so far.
I dislike this movie, but it's not a movie I'd like to rewatch. It's not something I'm gonna watch regularly. It's not
I don't watch it regularly. I do rewatch it now and then. I don't know, probably every few years. You literally
told me that when you're sick, you put it on to fall asleep too. You literally told me this.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of rotate which John Carpenter movies I put on when I'm sick. I love John Carpenter. He is probably my favorite director. None of his movies are exactly my favorite movie, but there is a very fond place in my heart for all of them.
There's a lot of
Dark Star's maybe not that great.
Wasn't that his first movie?
Yeah, it was his first one, and it was it had a beach ball alien.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cute.
And also, doesn't the guy surfboard to Earth or something?
He surfs on a ship, a cargo container.
Yeah, it's a reference to Dr. Strangelove.
Yes, which I still have not seen that. One of these days, I should really watch it. But yeah, I enjoy this movie. I don't think it's John Carpenter's best, but I do think it's his most underrated.
It has a 6.7 on IMDb. I just don't think it's underrated anymore. Maybe when it came out, but that's true for most of his movies. Yeah.
He kind of does have that whole thing where most of his movies are a sleeper, and then years later they have a cult following.
It's interesting because on IMDb it has a 6.7, which is extremely high for a horror movie.
Yeah.
But then Rotten Tomatoes, it only has 60%.
I mean, is that really that huge of a difference?
I don't know, actually.
In terms of percentages, that's 7%.
Oh, I don't care. Well, I guess I don't care about either. I don't really usually pay attention to ratings. I was looking this movie up though, and it just shocked me that it had a 6.7.
Yeah, it has a lot of people who really like it. And again, I think that this is another one of those movies, kind of like what we were talking about before we started this session, where if you're somebody who really likes atmosphere, you'll probably dig this movie. If you want the plot to make sense, a little less so.
Yeah, I think this movie has good things for it and bad things for it. For me, I don't understand what's going on with the homeless people. How are they infected? And the second half of the movie, they kind of just forget about them. They just aren't relevant anymore. There's a point where they go in and outside and they're not there anymore. And I'm just okay.
There is, but I think that the idea was that they were supposed to be gathered somewhere else trying to get at them, because they did try to escape through various parts of the church.
No, they did at different times. Every time they went out,
yeah,
they're there. But then there's a point at the end where they go out and it doesn't kind of matter. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's weird, and it's hard to understand a lot of what is going on.
And I guess it's also, what you've already said is kind of problematic with the name of them, but it's like, I'm assuming that the idea is that homeless people are susceptible because they're all insane. Because why are homeless people gathering?
Yeah,
How is
I
he
don't know.
getting him? And I'm like, I think it's because you're just assuming that all homeless people are lower level people.
Man, I didn't think about that.
So it's the homeless thing has always bothered me. I'm like, I don't get this.
I'm gonna have to pay attention to that because there's a lot.
Everybody else had to come in contact with the water or the container.
Yeah.
For something to happen, but the homeless people just instantly start gathering, and so I'm like, what else is the explanation?
Yeah, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff in this movie that kind of like just happens and doesn't necessarily make sense. And I kind of think that that's deliberate. It's one of those things where it could just be budgetary constraints and time constraints or something. But it's also something that I could see somebody doing in order to like show that things are being thrown off. For example, so this movie takes place over a fairly short period of time.
It's just a night, isn't it? Oh, no, it's a weekend.
It's a weekend. And during the day, if you look up into the sky, you will see the sun with a crescent moon directly above it, with the crescent facing down. And they're not touching, but I think it's supposed to invoke like the Mercury alchemical symbol. Mm. But then at night, there is a
Mercury
bright
retrograde.
Come on, man. We have friends that might listen to this.
They know how I feel.
But then at night, there's a big, bright full moon. They're both shown enough that I am sure that that they're deliberately showing that the moon is not leaving and seems to be entering like a different phase pretty quickly throughout the day. There's a lot of stuff like that. Like I mentioned, the surface level understanding of physics.
Yeah, to me, that's my biggest problem with it. It's a bunch of psychobabble where I feel like they think this script is way smarter than it is.
Yes. So this is something that we've talked about before. As much as I like John Carpenter, as much as I like this movie, this is a movie that I feel would be a prime candidate for being remade.
I would say that.
I think that somebody with a better grasp of...
This should be remade by the guys who made Primer.
Yeah.
The whole time I'm watching this, I'm just like thinking of Primer, even though I know they're different movies.
Yeah, no, but like those guys had a grasp of the science behind what they were doing. And they also, I think that this movie would benefit so much from not just somebody who understands science more, but from somebody who understands like
the occult
and how to utilize both of them. So it's not so,
get the
hey,
guys
look,
from
we've
Primer
got some science.
And Ari Aster.
Oh, that'd be so good. I don't know if the internet could stand that kind of pairing.
Oh my god, no! Everyone would there would be like literally a love or hate movie.
Yeah, I feel like
need a petition.
everybody would gather in like the Nevada desert, all the stand style, and have a fucking fight between who loves this movie and who hates this movie.
People would boycott it before it came out.
Did anybody boycott any of John Carpenter's movies before they came out?
No, but a lot of people hate Ari Aster.
A lot of people do hate Ari Aster, and boy, do we have some stuff to say about that.
But yeah, that's my biggest problem with this movie. I don't dislike this movie. I think anybody who likes John Carpenter or can handle slow burns, especially older slow burns, should watch this at least once.
Yes.
My husband, who isn't as versed in horror movies as me, said he's glad he watched it, but he'll probably never watch it again. He's like, I liked it, but it's not something, that I want to watch again.
Yeah.
He even fell asleep at the end for unrelated reasons and purposely went back and watched it. Like, he cared enough to finish it.
For me, this movie, the best thing about it is the atmosphere. It does create a very cool tension. Its feel of the movie, the way the music works with the movie, because I also think this is sort of John Carpenter at his best with the film score.
I think it's one of his worst.
Really? But it's so fitting and understated.
It is. It's just way too basic.
But that's kind of what I like about it.
And
because,
I know that's his style.
Well, I mean, but what I like about it is, when you think about the Halloween theme, we all know the Halloween theme. When you think about like the They Live theme, you can totally hear that.
Yeah, but this you can't. I don't know anybody who knows this theme off the top of their head.
That's what I like about it. The theme, the music of it is never distracting.
No, that is true. It's very
in a lot of John Carpenter movies, and do not take this as a slight on Carpenter. I fucking love that man. I love his movies. I love his music. You know, I've seen him live multiple times. I have a bunch of his stuff on vinyl. He's great, but sometimes the music, the actual themes that he comes up with are so good that you're trying to watch the movie and then you're just like, yeah.
Big Trouble in Little China slaps.
Oh, Big Trouble in Little China is so good. The one that I always really love is the theme for Christine. There's something about that theme when the car is going. It's just got those big synthesizers. Mm. It's so goddamn cool.
That's interesting because when I think of that movie, I don't remember the theme. I remember when it's about to kill people, that like old timey music comes on.
Yes,
the radio comes on.
I think that's probably more memorable for people who aren't necessarily as into film score as I am.
Yeah, that's true.
I will tell you, on the John Carpenter anthology album, where he and his band like remade a bunch of his themes, the Christine theme fucking rocks so hard.
Yeah, this is the difference between somebody who just loves horror movie and somebody who aspires to score movie.
Well, yes, that's true.
I pay attention.
Which, if anybody out there needs a score for a horror movie, hit me up. I did the music at the beginning of the episode. Yeah, I think I agree. I think everybody who likes John Carpenter, everybody who can deal with old movies that are a slow burn and heavy in atmosphere should absolutely check it out. Will it be your favorite movie? Probably not.
Yeah.
But you might agree with me that it deserves more to be than like John Carpenter's most forgotten movie.
I don't think it is anymore, like I said.
I mean, it might not be anymore. That distinction probably goes to his made-for-TV movie or that stupid first movie he did, Dark Star.
I think even the Mars movie.
Oh, Ghost of Mars?
I don't think.
Oh, hell no.
I don't think.
Man,
I forget about that movie.
How can you forget that movie exists? It's so good. It's Ice Cube at his finest. Another, that's got another great example.
It's got a 4.9 rating and 24 in Rotten Tomatoes. Again, I don't care about scores, but just because I mentioned it, I wanted to look it up.
So that's, yeah, I don't know if we'll ever do an episode on that. I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I do not think that's one of his best, although Jason Statham is great.
And like Vampires also might be a forgotten one for people who didn't grow up when it came out.
Maybe. Like
I said, it's different because we were alive when these movies came out.
I love that movie so much, but despite how much I now really hate it.
I never hear anyone talk about it.
What's his name? James Woods. Yeah, that guy sucks, but that movie fucking rules.
Yeah. Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
I was gonna say, so about this movie.
Yeah.
Something that bothers me, but it's like a nitpicky thing, is when the girl's translating, she's just typing into the computer. There's no like processing or anything. I even told Craven that. I'm like, translating isn't just reading a book and typing it into the computer. And he's like, no, the computer's translating it. I realize that's what's supposed to happen, but it's literally just her typing it in. Like as she's typing, the letters are coming up, and it bothers me.
Yeah, it's
I'm like, she's just typing the words to have a delay, like.
Or have her actually do some translating. Have her pull out another book and flip through it.
It's literally just her typing.
I mean, I guess she's got...
And they said it's supposed to be like, it's not even just you have to translate it. It's that there's stuff written over it. Like somebody was purposely trying to make it like confusing and all that.
Somebody erased parts.
And then wrote in different languages. And it's supposed to be all muddled, but it's just her like...
Yeah. And I would love to see how she just whipped out all of those differential equations on a standard keyboard in 1987. And apparently... And it's funny because everything is being printed out, but the printer's downstairs.
Yeah.
So there is that. But yeah, it's pretty wild how unrealistic that is. It's pretty silly. There's a lot of great imagery. I really love the whole thing where they kind of do this thing where like insects are used as a metaphor for possession.
Starts with like worms mostly.
The worms mostly, but then the insects become this whole big thing.
Yeah, but the worms are interesting to me because they show that they're like clambering on a window. And again, as far as I know, worms can't like suction themselves to stuff. And so I'm just like...
Did somebody just throw a handful of worms at that window?
Like, it's a weird imagery because that's, again, not how worms work. Which is fine because it's supposed to be a whole weird thing. Yeah. But then, beetles and all that.
So I've been debating whether to bring this up or not, and I'm going to, and we might cut this whole discussion. Alice Cooper, man.
I don't know why he's in this movie.
He's in the movie. It's just supposed to be a cameo.
Yeah, but it's more than a cameo because a cameo is like a one scene.
I guess.
He's in multiple, but there's no reason for it to be him.
There is no specific reason for it to be him. I feel like he was probably just like hanging out with John Carpenter or something.
Yeah, something. There has to be a story.
Yeah. I know that they do use his music in the movie.
Yes. The first guy that gets killed, he's listening to him on his headphones.
Yeah, which is pretty funny, getting killed by Alice Cooper while you're listening to Alice Cooper.
I mean,
it's appropriate. And I believe that the bike, like, he kills him with this weird bike that's like sawed in half. And I think that was actually a stage prop from Alice Cooper's show at the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. I could be wrong. So Katie broached the subject of Alice Cooper last night. So
are we gonna bring this up?
I am.
Okay.
Okay, quick disclaimer here. We're about to talk about transphobia. Listening back to this recording, we're not sure we're clear about what we were saying, and clarity is important since this is a real issue. Also, we don't want to harsh anybody's good time, so if this subject stresses you out, you can skip forward about 12 minutes. First, when we're talking about gender identity being in the zeitgeist and young people figuring themselves out, we are not saying that being trans is a fad, a phase, or even a choice. It isn't. We all have to figure ourselves out at some point, and sometimes that means trying something out to see if it fills a need we have. Second, as we'll mention, neither of us had read or seen the interview, only snippets. Since then, I've read the whole thing, which is worse than we thought, and we gave him too much benefit of the doubt. Third, you're going to hear me say that it's easy to be an ally when things don't affect you personally, but harder when they do. What I mean is, for the first time, I was wondering if my own comforts and wants were clouding my judgment. That self-doubt was stressful. Okay, that's it. Back to it. But the whole thing is the idea behind this episode was we were going to do Alice...
Controversy brings views.
I guess. The whole idea was we were going to do this episode because, Rob Zombie associated with one movie, Alice Cooper associated with the other. We're going to go see them in a few weeks.
They're on tour right now. So.
Yeah, they're on tour, and it's cool, and I'm super excited. But yeah, Katie did bring that up, and she's got some pretty conflicting feelings about everything.
Really? I'm like, he's 75? No, he didn't. And also what he said wasn't awful. It's not great.
It's not great. I think the part that really got to her was when he started doing...
75.
Okay. I think the part that really got to her was when he started doing the whole, are trans people going to identify as cats and trees now?
Oh, I didn't read that.
Yeah, he said
I just read about the fad thing. They're saying, like, trans kids
is
a fad, which, honestly, probably because it is more in the zeitgeist, there are a lot of people who are more confused that aren't really trans that probably think they are that aren't going to be, more so than typical. It's just so in the zeitgeist right now.
Just to specify, I don't think that you're saying it's a fad per se. I think what you're saying is that because it's in the zeitgeist and honestly more
to a lot of people,
more acceptable, when people are going through a phase where they're trying to figure themselves out, they might be like, oh, maybe this applies to me.
Yes, so
and then maybe it turns out that it does, and maybe it turns out that it doesn't.
So I think statistically right now, there are probably going to be more young kids who think they're trans that turn out not to be than there was before, and that there will be in the future, because it's such like a talking point at the moment.
And that's not a fad. That's just what is in the zeitgeist while people are trying to figure themselves out.
Yeah. So not discounting trans kids in any way.
Yeah.
Just saying that that's just how things work.
Yeah. But so I will.
And that's also why you should let people figure things out.
Yeah. And so Katie is trying to figure out, one, if she still wants to go.
Oh.
And two, what she is going to do if she does go. And and this is where we're gonna get into the deep shit, where I am really feeling the crunch of, man, it is so easy to be an ally when your connections to the queer community are all, other people that may or may not be at an arm's length. When your literal idol says something that is pretty offensive to your wife, that's a different deal.
Yeah, but I also know a lot of trans people people and non-binary people that also will agree and have talked about it, like, not to say that you should just let elderly people be hateful bigots, but there is a point where it's like, they just don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And this is a person, do you think he's actually really hateful, or was some interviewer ask an old man about something he has no idea what he's talking about?
Right. This is one of those things that really drives me nuts is I really have this thought that if you're not informed on something, shut up. There's no reason. And with Alice Cooper in particular, I know you're not into him the way I am. He has spoken a lot about how he doesn't care about politics, does not believe politics belongs in rock and roll, and he's not exactly the most informed person in the world. So why the fuck would you ask him?
Well, that's why I think he was asked this, and then it was printed when it wasn't really something that was meant to be out there. And again, it's just some old man's opinion. I don't know Alice Cooper that well, but the little I know about him, I think he probably actually doesn't care.
Yeah.
I don't think he probably has a major opinion either way. But I could be wrong.
I mean, sure, but like also...
Also, who's to say that this wasn't twisted around? Just because something is printed in editorial, have we seen a video of him saying this stuff?
I honestly don't know. I only read snippets. I did not read a full transcript of the interview.
He probably said something crappy, but...
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Interviews aren't taken out of context. I don't know. I'm not trying to defend him in any way. My main point is, this is some old man who's probably very out of touch, and I think he was asked about this, that he didn't just be like, oh, I want to talk about the trans kids.
Yeah. And I mean,
either way, your money already went to him also.
Yeah. Also, something that Katie brought up is like a number of his songs have actually been extensively used in the queer community throughout history. The dude's name is fucking Alice. He started performing in a dress.
Yeah, but
he has a history. He has a very extreme history of cross-dressing. He's got his own makeup line, or he had his own makeup line until they ditched him because of this. And he's constantly seen in makeup. Again, dude goes by Alice. So like,
I don't know. A lot of names.
He did that on purpose.
Okay, I'm just saying, because there are a lot of names that we think are female that were originally male.
Yeah. No,
John Wayne's real name is Marion.
Right. Well, it's his middle name. His real name is John, I think.
No,
isn't it?
John Wayne is completely a fictional name.
But yeah, no. Alice Cooper has talked about how it was a deliberate thing, and he even mentions it in like an old song, in an old Alice Cooper song. But yeah, it's frustrating. Katie doesn't know what to do. I don't. I want to support her, but like I'm more conflicted than I feel like I should be, because clearly I want to support my wife. Clearly, I always want to err on the side of supporting trans folk, but like this isn't just a standard concert either.
He could die tomorrow.
Well, no.
I'm just saying he's old.
My uncle is flying in and staying with us to go to this show. And I don't want to have this discussion with anyone in my family, but I also don't want to be like, yeah, no, Katie, just suck it up.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a weird position. And, we had a bit of a discussion last night. And the last thing I said to her was, kind of what I said a minute ago. It's like, I want to be supportive, but I'm going to ask for a little understanding, because it's really easy to be an ally when you're not directly involved.
If it were me that were in the direct situation, I would be like, look, the money's already spent.
That is true.
It already went to him whether we go or not.
That is valid.
I feel like it should be a conversation we have after if we want to further support this person. Because you can't... Because when you have people that you grew up with loving coming out with bigoted statements, it is hard, because it's like, how do you take away the nostalgia that you have for certain things? And I think the most important thing is that if you do decide this is a problematic, hateful person, to no longer support them financially. That means don't listen to them on Spotify. But hey, if you already bought a record, maybe you can listen to that, because that money's gone.
Right.
You already supported them. But going further, it should maybe be a conversation of, hey, maybe I should no longer. But we have already done this, whether you go or not.
Yeah, so maybe I'll buy a Rob Zombie shirt. Instead of an Alice Cooper shirt or a Dual shirt.
It's complicated, but to me, it's like whether she goes or not, she spent money on it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure she's going to go. I think that's a really valid point. And also for me, whenever I end up in a weird situation where I'm not totally sure what to do, but something's already in motion, my general thought is write it out and then figure out what I'll do in the future.
Yeah.
And also, it is funny because when I said Alice Cooper is literally my idol, I mean that in a very, very literal way, as we touched on briefly.
But you can separate. I do believe in separating the artist from the person, or the art from the person, but where the line crosses if you continue to support them financially. You can still idolize what Alice Cooper has done in his career and be like, but I will no longer support them as a person, because you buy their stuff, you're supporting them as a person, not just an artist. That's where I draw the line when people go like, oh, death to the artist, but I'm still going to their concerts. No, because you are supporting the person.
Right.
But you can still appreciate the art and be like, but I'm not going to listen to them on Spotify. I'm not going to buy their new record. I'm not going to buy a shirt. From here on out, I will no longer give them my money.
Yeah, and as you know, I already do that with like a lot of black metal bands that I love. I'll never see Mayhem again.
Yeah.
I'll probably never see
Craven has a conflict with Pantera because that was like his favorite band, and he has a lot of ties to that band, to his friend who died when he was 19, and he's like, can I no longer listen to these songs? And I'm like, no, you can still listen to it, but again, just where are you listening to it?
Yeah.
Just make sure you're not supporting them financially, but you can still have that memories to the song. Nothing's gonna take away that song reminds you of your dead friend, and should you just like annihilating that song would also feel like annihilating your friend's memory in a way. But you know what I mean? It's like, well, you already bought the album. You can listen to that song on the CD. Don't listen to it on Spotify. Don't listen on YouTube, because that's where they're financially being like. That to me is where the difference between separating the artist from the art is. Don't support the person anymore.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. It is a bummer for me.
It's also because why did it have to happen right now? Why couldn't it happen like next month?
because he's doing press for the tour. But yeah, like it's like, there's three people that I will always say are like my big icons: Trent Reznor, Peter Steele, Alice Cooper.
And Trent Reznor hasn't always been a great person. He's been a piece of shit most of his life. Now he's gotten his shit together. But artistically, he's always been great. But as a heroin addict, he was awful to his fans.
Yes.
He was awful to the people around him. You can still love him. And luckily, he's changed for the better.
Yes.
But,
I am always really happy.
I'm just saying they can still be artistically your idols and acknowledge that, like, hey, that doesn't mean I want to be exactly like them.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the same thing with, like, Peter Steele, too. There's some shit that I
want to say, I think this is fine if this isn't the episode, but it probably should be, like, if kept in,
we'll truncate
to the end, or to the end of the discussion of the movie. Because it kind of just derailed the discussion of the movie.
Well, are we still discussing the movie? I thought we covered the end in the movie.
Because I wanted to discuss the guy from Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, Walter. Okay. Yeah.
Because he's actually, or maybe this fits in, because he's very queer coded. Is he gay?
Did you just say, is he a gay?
No, I said, is he Okay, because this is my thing. So there's a whole scene with, what's her name, Kelly? The one that gets pregnant.
The one that gets, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She has a bruise on her arm. Mm-hmm. And it's just getting worse. And everyone's like, dude.
Yeah,
like,
what's up with this
bruise? And this is the only note I made of the movie, because I was like, excuse me? Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I think it's just a bruise. Oh, it started to have a symbol in it.
Yeah,
and she's like, no, it's fine. I'm just going to go to bed. And he literally says, oh, yeah, I had a similar thing once, and my therapist said it was homosexual panic. And I'm like, excuse me?
I forgot about that line.
No, I literally was like, note, making a note. And then
he's an asshole throughout the whole movie.
No, but the whole movie, he's like, I had a date with a woman. And then he literally gets locked in a closet at some point where he is trying to escape women.
Wow. Whoa. Whoa, Jessica, you're fucking blowing my mind right now. I've watched this movie like a dozen times, and I have never made this connection.
I'm not usually one to think characters are gay-coded, but there's something else he said that I didn't make a note, but he constantly makes his dialogue in this movie is wild.
It is. There's something that I don't think I can necessarily comment on, where he says some things about an Asian female student, and it's just like, it's like, I don't even
says,
want
if I didn't know any better, I would think you're Asian. And then the look he gives her, and then later when she gets possessed, he's like, I'm sorry I said you were Asian. And it literally is an Asian actress. I'm like, what is happening?
I feel like
I was like, no, we need to talk about him, because I forget, he makes some other gay comment, but I did find it weird in the beginning of the movie. He was very clear, not I have a date. I have a date with a woman.
Yeah,
and then, the comment, because also therapy was not popular in the 80s.
Right.
So to say my therapist said it was homosexual panic, I'm like, what? What is happening?
Man.
And then, again, I know I'm repeating myself. He literally gets locked in a closet and is like, get me away from these women. I mean, yes, they're possessed. He does
also this... He does make that one joke, though. Normally, I like being dominated by women, but...
Yeah, all of his dialogue is wild.
Yeah. He is a ridiculous character.
It also could be
he's also kind of my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, but it's just...
But he's such an asshole.
Also, it was AIDS around, because this also might just be coding for, the AIDS panic. But I'm just like, I'm sorry. Something's going on there.
That's
why I was like, no, we're not done. I need to talk about this guy.
It's actually really interesting that you mention the AIDS panic, too, because, yes, the AIDS epidemic was 100% a deal in 1987.
It was 87, okay.
Yeah, it had been going on for a while, and I think 87
so that could be the homosexual panic thing, too. But either way, it's just like, that's a shocking thing to say about a bruise.
Yeah.
Literally, they're talking about a bruise.
Well, so you mentioned AIDS. One of the symptoms of AIDS.
Oh, it was bruising. Yeah.
No, was lesions.
Yeah.
Which, when Kelly is possessed,
it's a bruise that's growing, and then it gets starts getting like that. Looks like a symbol.
Yeah.
And then that's when he brings it up. So so it actually probably has more to do with AIDS, but still. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, man, that's... I always kind of figured his character was just sort of an insensitive jerk who was, there for comic relief mostly. And a lot of this is played for humor, but, man, I think you might be right. Now I have to go watch this movie again. And I specifically want to keep an eye out for Walter being queer-coded, because not only with
fear
the bruise,
of AIDS, it could be both.
Well, yeah, and because not only the bruise, but when she becomes possessed and deformed, it mostly manifests as like lesions all over her skin.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, but that homosexual panic, even Craven was like, "Excuse me."
Yeah.
What did they just say?
I know every time I watch the movie, that line hits me, and I'm like. What?
It's not just what he says, it's the context and where he's saying it. Because they're literally talking about a bruise, and he's like, oh yeah, my therapist.
Man, dude, you've just totally blown my mind.
And also...
And yeah, he is in the closet.
He's trapped in the closet, and a man saves him.
Yeah.
It's Dad's stash breaks through the wall and, like, grabs him and pulls him out. It's like, I mean, with a woman... In the 80s, you would think that would be implied.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah,
shit, man. This is going to be the quickest rewatch I've ever done. Oh. I'm going to watch it again like next week.
There you go. Okay, so Prince of Darkness is streaming on Peacock. And then also anywhere you can rent movies, it's available. It's on YouTube, it's on Vudu, it's on Prime, and all the random places you can just rent movies online. It's there. Thank you for listening to Streaming Screams Podcast. You can follow us at our socials at Streaming Screams Pod for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and SoundCloud.
You can also follow us on TikTok or on the dreaded Twitter/X at ScreamsPod. Thank you again for listening. We hope you're enjoying yourselves. Jessica, are you enjoying yourself?
Absolutely.
All right, then. On to the next part of the show. All right, next up, in keeping with our Freaks on Parade theme for the day, we've got 2003's House of a Thousand Corpses, written and directed by Rob Zombie, starring Sid Haig as Captain Spaulding, my man Bill Moseley as Otis Driftwood, Sherry Moon Zombie, back then only known as Sherry Moon, as Baby Firefly, Karen Black as Mother Firefly, Chris Hardwick as Jerry Goldsmith, the obnoxious jerk, Erin Daniels as Denise Willis, Jennifer Jostin as Mary Knowles, and Rainn Wilson as the nerdy Bill Hudley.
Real quick, I know that you said Chris Hardwick is the obnoxious dork or jerk.
He's the obnoxious jerk, yeah.
Everyone.
I mean, they're all obnoxious.
I was going to say, the girls are awful. Rainn Wilson is the only one that's kind of okay, but the girls are awful too. It's like, how are you with these people? Because you're just snooty little bitches. The firefighter people are, of course, all awful, but it's like, let's be real. They're all obnoxious jerks.
Yes. So I'm going to start this off with what's up?
So House of a Thousand Corpses is streaming on AMC Plus and Tubi, and then you can rent it again on anywhere that you can standardly rent stuff: Amazon app, Google Play, YouTube.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with a very controversial statement. I fucking love Rob Zombie, and I don't give a fucking shit about anybody else's opinion on this matter. I love his music. I love about half of his movies. I really fucking love Rob Zombie. That dude fucking rocks. Yeah,
so I am also in a minority of that. People usually love or hate his stuff. I'm like, he's all right. I don't like half his movies. I really like the other half. Or actually, yeah, I don't know. We'll go there. His music, I love White Zombie. I think early Rob Zombie, like this movie, is very try-hard. I think his later stuff is good. I think he is fine. And I think people, hate on him too much, but I also think people love him too much. He also needs to get over the 70s. They ended 50 years ago. But I think he's fine, and I think I'm in the minority that I'm like, he's all right.
So it's funny. So in our notes, in the notes that I take whenever we do these, I simply put Rob Zombie really likes the 70s, acid, horror, schlock, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Sure.
Because that is legitimately the theme of this movie. Rob Zombie fucking loves the 70s, acid, horror, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I think it's just a drawback for a lot of his movies that, so I like Lords of Salem, which we will talk about in another day.
Yes.
But how 70s looking Sherry Moon is in that doesn't make sense and isn't warranted. It's like, come on, dude. Not everyone needs to look like you in your movies.
Okay. I have responses for that. We are definitely saving that for when we do an episode that involves Lords of Salem.
Sure.
Because, as much as I love Rob Zombie, there is one complaint that I have about all of his movies after a certain point. And that will come out later. Jeff Daniel Phillips, you fucking suck. Anyway. Okay, so this movie takes place starting on Halloween Eve in 1977.
I just want to say really quick, I know I'm already kind of interjecting. I've seen this movie several times. Totally forgot it actually takes place during Halloween. It seems irrelevant to the movie.
Really?
Yes.
We'll get to this.
Yeah, I was shocked when I was like, how did I not remember this is technically a Halloween movie?
Yeah, because I mean, all the stuff at the end is like their Halloween ritual and all that.
But they're just doing shit all the time anyway.
I know. It is a very, there's a lot of random shit in this movie, which is probably one of the reasons that I really like it and one of the reasons a lot of people hate it.
Including me.
All right.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again,
but,
I'm in the minority where I'm like,
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. I love the chaos and the... Anyway.
I'm sorry. We'll get to it.
We'll get
there. I have a lot to say.
All right. So Halloween Eve, 1977. Two guys try to rob Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. Does not go well for them. This is not relevant to the plot, but it's pretty fucking funny.
This interjection I am going to do here because it's not worth talking about later. That one dude's mask, the holes are so big in the eyes and mouth. It's like, I can tell what you look like, dude. I don't need to know who you are, and I'm going to be able to get a sketch artist to draw you.
Yeah.
The eye, like, literally, it's so thin. It's like his nose is covered, and that's it.
Yeah.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah,
what is this?
This whole scene is funny. Again, it could totally have been eliminated from the movie, and nothing would have been lost, except that I find it very entertaining because it's just a really funny scene.
I think this scene's fine.
No, I just mean it adds nothing to the plot.
Sure. But it's every time I watch it, I'm like, what is with that guy's mask?
Yeah.
Where do you even buy one like that?
I think he's supposed to have cut it out.
No, because it has lining.
Oh, it
has a border around it. It's like his girlfriend knitted it for him or something.
Hey, just a note for all of the streaming screamers out there. If you're going to rob a tourist trap, get a mask that covers most of your face.
And not pantyhose, because that's another thing I've never gotten in movies and stuff. I'm like, your face being squished doesn't make me not be like, oh yeah, that's you. I guess if it's really tight.
They recognize one of the robbers.
But not the guy with the large holes in the face.
That's true. But the other dude had a really small mask.
They recognize, no.
He had that little plastic monkey mask that only covers
I know, but he was a
face.
giant dude. It's one of those guys that is like, it's his voice and how big he is.
Yeah.
It's like, nobody's missing your body, dude. That's a guy that you can see from like a half a mile away, and you're like, yeah, it's Joe.
Yeah. Okay. So, man, I'm getting anything. So, two couples are traveling across the country writing a book on tourist traps, and they stop in Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen, where they hear about the local legend of Dr. Satan. Spaulding directs them over to the... Okay, let me just interject here, because if you haven't seen the movie, I haven't made this clear. Captain Spaulding is the most fucking awesome killer clown in movie history. He's not supernatural. He's just, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre like style killer crazy redneck dude, and it is a delight. I fucking love him. Okay. So,
he's not even in most of this movie.
He is not in enough of this movie. I wish he was in more of it, because he is my favorite character that Rob Zombie has ever had in any movie, honestly.
Sure, I think most people
would agree with that. Sid Haig, may he rest in peace. Captain Spaulding was the shit.
You could have never watched any Rob Zombie movies and you know who Captain Spaulding is.
Yeah. I
think people who don't even watch horror movies can know who Captain Spaulding is.
I have entirely too many t-shirts, and I still kind of want that one that's Captain Spaulding for president. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, the two couples hear about the local legend of Dr. Satan, and Spaulding directs them to where Dr. Satan was supposedly hung. On their way to go check out this tree for their book, they pick up a hitchhiker who turns out to be Baby Firefly. She leads them into an ambush where they end up with a flat tire, and then brings them to her house, where they meet a host of crazy characters, such as the horny as hell Mama Firefly, the burnt giant Tiny, grumpy as hell Grandpa Hugo, the brother who never really says much and is just sort of there to move the plot along. And then Otis Driftwood, the psychotic Charles Manson-like figure, always rambling on about spooky guru shit like this body may come and go, but this blood is forever. But then also saying really funny stuff like, I ain't talking about no white socks with Mickey Mouse on one side and Donald Duck on the other. Just really weird guy. I'm also going to interject here and say I fucking love Bill Moseley. That dude is so good at playing just these batshit characters. His Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Fucking brilliant. Yeah, I love Otis. Anyway, sorry. I just needed to let everybody know that not only do I love Rob Zombie, I love Bill Moseley. Okay, so they end up in this house. The Firefly family puts together a Halloween dinner that they force everybody to attend that is really awkward. They do like a vaudeville style variety show, which is also awkward and weird. Baby is constantly flirting with Bill, which gets Mary all pissed off. So they start getting into it. Baby and Mary, I mean. And then the kids go to leave because the car is done, but they get ambushed and taken back into the house. The Firefly family tortures Bill to death, and Otis sculpts him into Fish Boy, and presumably
it's a play on the Fiji mermaid.
Right, which you can see in Captain Spaulding's place.
Yeah.
So
no, they don't have a Fiji mermaid. They have a different one.
No, they had the Fiji mermaid. I mean, it's not the Fiji mermaid, but it's the Fiji mermaid.
No, because isn't it a crocodile and a fish instead of a monkey and a fish?
There's a bunch of them, but they do have the monkey and the fish. But that's the whole thing, is that Fish Boy is presumably going to be an attraction in Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen. Besides that, they torture the shit out of Obnoxious Jerk, not quite to death, but very close to it. And then, and also, start fucking with the girls and tormenting them. One of them ends up dressed as a doll in the basement. The other one ends up tied up on a bed next to a dead cheerleader. It is good, wholesome family stuff here. So it turns out Diane's dad is a cop. He comes to town looking for her, brings along another couple of police officers, and they go to the Firefly house and they all get killed. One of them gets killed in this amazing shot that takes entirely too long. If you've seen the movie, you know the shot that I'm talking about, and I love that camera shot. It's one of the things that I like about Rob Zombie, and this movie in particular, because he doesn't do weird shit like this as much anymore. Firefly family dresses up the living kids like bunnies and basically throws them in a well as part of a weird Halloween ritual. Once they're in the well, they get separated. Jerry gets attacked by a bunch of mutants who I believe are supposed to be mental patients. So again, we've got
So I got
this problem.
About this. Well, no, because this, and also when there's a scene where Tiny lets the girl go, which is similar to Leatherface letting a girl go in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes.
And then she gets caught by Otis, and then they throw her in a cage, and then all these girls in panties descend on her, and I'm like, what is happening here? Because I'm like, are these part of the family? Are these other kidnap victims? Because they're not the cheerleaders. And so then also this. So
no, we see all the dead cheerleaders.
No, I know. So that's why I'm like, what is this? That, and then this scene, I'm like, are they trying to push a supernatural element? Or because to me it's almost like you say it's crazy people. I'm like, because when they go in the different than the tunnels that you're about to talk about, when they're in the water, it's like they're dead. So it's just very confusing to me. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand. Are they trying to?
My interpretation of the people in the water as well.
They seem zombie-ish to me.
They do seem zombie-ish, but my interpretation of them is that they have been operated on by Dr. Satan, who is an actual character in the movie. If
you're just sitting in a well for that long, you'll die.
Well, no, but they've got this whole office and network of tunnels down there. It's you don't need to ask questions about this.
I will just tell you, this is the point where the movie completely loses for me. I'm like, I'm bored. This is all nonsensical. It's about 50 minutes in is when I'm like, I don't even care to watch anymore.
So to be fair, this is not my favorite part of the movie either.
The rest, this from now on is just trash to me. And I don't even like the rest of the first part. But this is when I'm literally like, how much longer do we have? Really? This is only an hour and a half movie? Because it's feeling like...
So you know what's funny is this was Rob Zombie's second choice for an ending. The studio didn't like his original one.
Well...
So they sent him back to do something that included all of more wild zaniness like the rest of the movie, and this is what happened.
This is when I'm like, it goes from Texas Chainsaw Massacre to Demented Alice in Wonderland. Because with the rabbits and the way she's dressed, and then the tunnels...
Yep. So it turns out Dr. Satan is real. Jerry is being operated on. I don't know what the deal with Dr. Satan is, if he's supposed to be a human, if he's supposed to be a mutant. But all these other people in the tunnels and in the well are, from my understanding, supposed to be the mental patients at the hospital where Dr. Satan conducted his experiments. And
he was trying to make superhumans from mental patients.
Yeah. What's her name? Is it Mary or is it Diane?
It doesn't matter.
Well, the chick who's not dead stumbles into the office. Dr. Satan sends this big-ass mutant who is heavily implied to be Mother Firefly's husband after her. And then she escapes. After she escapes, she's picked up by Captain Spaulding, who says he's going to get her medical help. But for some reason, Otis was hiding in the back of the car. He raises the knife. Smash cut to her screaming while being operated on by Dr. Satan, and then smash cut to black. And then Rob Zombie does the silliest fucking thing he's ever done. The end, ?
Okay, so this is great, because I would like to start off that you missed the whole point that there is a sheriff that is the owner. No, and it's fine that you left that out, because you know what? It adds nothing and is pointless to the movie. And this is why the sheriff, one of them, the one that like is in the tunnels, is his daughter.
Yeah, no, I said that.
Yeah, but there's a whole thing with them that like most of it you're like, yeah.
Oh no, yeah, it doesn't add much except more kills.
Well, that's what
the sheriff comes to town, brings some cops with him, and they all get killed.
Okay, so that's what I don't like about this movie. It has just a bunch thrown into it that means nothing. I think, which I know you said you like, but there's all these intercut clips that are like, they adds nothing to the movie. It's trying to make it creepier, but it actually is like, it's just leaving you no questions. So who cares? Like it's like they're meeting the family, and then they're like, oh, there's intercutting with like showing how they kill people or they're crazy, and it's like, okay, so you're not gonna leave me to discover that it's a crazy family. Like I hate the intercut clips, but okay.
I like the intercut clips because they to me they're not meant to make things creepier. To me, they're meant to make things more chaotic.
Yeah, but if you're not,
I think they're supposed to make a more chaotic experience for the viewer.
Yeah, but if you are a person who doesn't typically watch horror movies, so let's say you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which this movie desperately wishes it was. It's like it leaves you with no questions. It's like, give people a second to like at least. Again, if you're not an avid horror goer, to being like, oh, is this just a kooky family? Or are they killers? And it's like, no, we're not going to even give you a chance to even think that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't even need all the interstitial stuff to do that. You see the brothers shoot the tires out of the car during the setup. Sure,
but it's still... But then also they fix the car and let them go. That also I don't understand, because I'm like, sure, it's like you want to give them relief, but I'm like, it was 2 seconds. That was a waste of your time.
Yeah, well, Otis wanted to do his whole thing where he dressed up as a scarecrow and then ambushed them.
Okay, so let's get to the beginning of the movie. Okay, let's get to the beginning.
All right, I'm gonna settle in and get comfy here. We're gonna have ourselves a discussion.
Yeah, we're going through this movie. Okay, fuck the first thing with the killers. I already the robbers.
Yeah, it added nothing to the movie. It was just there to be fun.
Other than that mask, man, it drives me nuts. It's just like, why? I've never seen that in any other movie. As a true crime fan, never seen that. I'm like, did they make this mask? Or maybe it's for, like, you actually just want to be warm. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, I mean, Captain Spaulding does call him Ski King at one point.
Because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but they also get mocked mercilessly for how incompetent they are by Captain Spaulding.
Okay. Opening credits of this movie.
Featuring Rob Zombie's best song, the title song, House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, I thought it was Living Dead.
No,
you're right. Anyway, the title screen is fine, but it's like, oh, this is a Grindhouse movie. Yeah. No, it's not a Grindhouse movie.
No.
This movie is so crisp that this movie is trying so hard to be so many things and failing at all of them.
I agree with the first half of that sentence.
It desperately wants to be a Grindhouse movie. It is not. It's too clean looking. It's too pretty and colorful. It has no griminess to it. And then it also, it looks exactly like every 2000s horror movie that ever came out. All the
Don't think that's
Shut the fuck up. You're wrong. All the Castle remakes that came out at this time. House on Haunted Hill, 13 Ghosts. This movie looks exactly like those.
I know.
Those all are early 2000 movies.
No, I know House on Haunted Hill had some color to it, but weren't most of those like really just gray in their color palette?
They're all over the top, crisp, clean movies trying to be this grimy thing that they're not. It's
I guess crisp and clean.
It's like
sure.
for somebody who's so obsessed with the 70s, has no idea what a 70s movie looks like, apparently.
Well, he managed to get it in Devil's Rejects and Lords of Salem.
Well, that's not what we're talking about
but
right now.
But no, we are not talking about that. I am not sure that he was... So I agree that it looks crisp. I don't think it looks like those other movies just because he's constantly doing weird shit with like lighting and camera angles.
I rewatched House on Haunted Hill recently. The whole movie is all just like all weirdness and all like brightness. The guy that takes over for Vincent Price literally is somebody who makes amusement parks. So it all is lighting and colors and shit.
But was that like a colorful movie?
It's so bright.
Is it?
Yes.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that.
Okay. Continuing with the beginning. I will say my favorite thing about this movie is the murder ride.
The murder ride's so good.
I love dark rides.
Mm-hmm.
I love dark rides, and let me tell you, this dark ride is awesome. And even though they give some inaccurate facts about serial killers, and Rob Zombie, you're supposed to be into that, so get with it. Yeah. Also, Ed Gein wasn't a serial killer, technically. But anyways, super awesome. Those girls are prudes because it was cool, and that's the best thing about the movie.
Yeah.
That murder ride is the best thing about that movie, and they need to make that in an actual... They can call it House of a Thousand Corpses Murder Ride, and I will go on it.
Absolutely. Maybe he lives next door to you.
The other thing I want to say, which has no bearing on anything, complimentary chicken.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
I love
this whole thing where Captain Spaulding is really good at making fried chicken is such a funny and random character.
And it's just in a paper bag and he just gets it out of a cabinet.
Yeah. It's not warm.
I'm not like complaining about this. I just think it's just a funny like thing to add.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just thought it was so funny. Like, here's your complimentary chicken. It's just like in a cabinet. It's like, here. It's like, why?
Because he's really good at making fried chicken. They go into this in Devil's Rejects, you know.
But that, again, we're not talking about this.
No, I know.
Also, Chris Hardwick's wig is so bad. It literally looks like a wig you can just get at Spirit Store right now.
I don't think I ever noticed the wig because I always just want to punch him.
The first scene, I'm just like, ugh.
I always just want to punch him. He's so obnoxious.
I think everyone's obnoxious. I hate the bitches.
Yeah.
I hate everyone in this movie.
Yeah, no, the kids are awful. This is one thing that I think Rob Zombie really got right. Nobody ever cares about the kids in these types of movies. So he just made them obnoxious so you want them to die. Fucking great. Genius.
Sorry. Apparently, Craven's on his way over.
Why?
He wants to get tacos on the way home.
Well, tell him he's got a while. We're only like 12 minutes into the movie.
That's fine. He can hang out with Katie. Can I tell Katie to answer the door?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I guess we can. He lost a horn.
Do you want me to pause it?
Well, no, I don't. I feel like we're rolling.
Yeah.
I was also going to say, because you said you need help
edit. Tell him to message Katie directly. Just so you know, I'm leaving the camera roll.
That's fine.
The thing.
I was going to say, though, when you said that, like, oh, we've been all over the place, so you have to help me edit this, I think we need to not do a recording when we haven't hung out in a while, because that's part of the problem.
That is part of the problem. Hey, Katie, Craven's on his way. Let him in when he shows up. Craven is on his way here for some reason. Let him in when he arrives. But not into the studio because we're working here. Because we're working here.
He's like, you're taking too long. I'm coming over. I'm like, okay. Because also he's like, well, when we leave, we'll go get tacos. Where?
You know what? While we're having this really awkward recording moment, do you want another beer?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm going to grab another beer real quick.
I still want a proof of weed. She never gave me one.
Shit the bed. Howdy, folks. We are back.
We were just finishing up the complimentary chicken. Chris Hardwick's terrible wig. Yeah. Also, so when they get into the house and baby is like totally hitting on, is it Chris Hardwick?
Bill. No, it's
Rand.
It's Ryan Wilson.
Okay. This doesn't really matter, but it's like, it's the 70s. It's old house. They cut to Otis like fucking with the cheerleaders. And I'm like, really? Nobody hears anything? It's just screaming at the top of the lungs.
I think that every time.
It's not a big deal. It's something you could let go in a movie. But in a movie, I'm already like, ugh. I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Also, like what comes after this, the dinner scene. Again, this movie so desperately wants to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's like a mix of 1 and 2. Even they included Bill Moseley. It's like his character is semi like chopped up.
Shout out to Bill Moseley. If you ever somehow
great.
hear this, I really want you to come join us on this podcast. You can even just make fun of me for like an hour. It'll be hilarious.
Yeah, he's great. I'm not talking shit about him. I'm talking shit about this movie.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. As I already said, Tiny letting the girl go is clearly supposed to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Mm-hmm. Because...
constantly just giving them hope and then taking it away.
No. He actually sympathizes with her, same as Tiny is. Because both Tiny and Leatherface... Leatherface is not the villain of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know that he gets touted around as the psycho killer. He is a mentally disabled child that is being manipulated by his family.
Yes,
same as Tiny.
Correct.
Yes, they're not children anymore, but they are still mentally children. Technically, Leatherface, not the real villain.
Right.
He's a pawn. Same as Tiny.
Poor Leatherface.
I know. That's the thing. Same as Tiny. He's just trying to eat his cereal out of his dog food bowl. You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, can you let me go? And he's like, all right, I'm just trying to have some cereal. You can get the fuck out of here because you're being loud.
And meanwhile, Bill Moseley is yelling about freeing himself from the mechanical means of sexual reproduction and the encrustations on the surface, whatever that means.
But yeah, I think this movie has potential when it starts, but the longer it goes on, the more and more it's style over substance. Like, I literally, about the 50-hour, not 50-hour, oh my God, 50-minute mark, I'm like...
Could you imagine a 50-hour Rob Zombie movie?
I just, after 50 minutes... It's that, and that's when they start doing the rabbit and the ritual thing, and it starts turning into Alice in Wonderland. But I just am like, it's just so much nonsense. There's nothing of substance. I literally get bored. And also, as great as Captain Spaulding is, until Devil's Rejects,
he has like 10 minutes of
why
screen
is
time.
he here? Like, what is the purpose of like them?
He lures people into the trap with the tale of Dr. Satan.
I don't
and
feel
his
like he
hanging
really
tree.
did. They only because everyone else, I'm assuming, that would go through. I don't think those cheerleaders were lured in by Dr. Satan and wanted to see the tree.
Probably not them, but I mean, the brother is lying in wait. Baby Firefly is conveniently just out there in need of a ride, and she never says why.
But it seems like it's because he calls them because they're at, I guess every situation maybe it's different because he knows which direction they're going or whatever. Yeah. It's just like he's such a great character and a great start. He should have been incorporated. I think this could have been a great movie. You have great villains and characters. You just made a sloppy mess of it. And
I think Rob Zombie thinks that.
Well, that's
too.
what I was about to say. To be fair, Rob Zombie hates this movie. He says he hates watching it. He's like, everyone hated it when it came out, and now everyone loves it. And I'm like, I don't know how true that is.
So just so we're clear,
a mess.
Just so we're clear, when I first saw it, it was me. This was actually really funny. It was me, our friend John, my girlfriend at the time, Gabby, and I believe John was with this girl Luma at the time. When we walked out of there, Gabby and Luma immediately started complaining about it, and John and I were like, that was amazing.
So just
that
like after the Dr. Satan dark ride.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I never made that connection.
Yeah.
But it was exactly like that. John and I were like, holy shit. that movie fucking rocked. And the girls were like,
it's just
it was okay.
So messy. And this is the thing too. I like highbrow horror. I like a lot of trash horror too. I love the stuff.
Who doesn't love the stuff?
I mean, a lot of people don't, actually. Anyways,
people without taste.
See
what I did there?
I do like. There's a level for me, and this isn't it. I think the biggest problem with this movie is that Rob Zombie was given too much money for his first movie. This movie cost $7 million to make in 2003.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That's the budget?
Yeah.
Even as somebody who absolutely adores this movie, that does not hold up.
I know that would be considered a low-budget movie today. I don't believe it would then. It wouldn't be considered a high-budget movie.
It would be a movie.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think that's what happened here. Again, I'm like, I don't hate Rob Zombie. Mm-hmm. I just don't want to suck his nuts either. I think he was given way too much money.
I mean, his nuts are probably pretty dirty. He's a fucking hippie man.
Dirty man.
But I'm just kidding, Rob Zombie. Rob Zombie, if you ever hear this, I would love to have you on the show.
But so again, I brought this up during the synopsis, but also like at the end. So when they meet Dr. Satan, doors are opening and closing on their own. So I think it's like they all of a sudden are slightly implying a supernatural element. Or I guess they could have rigged it all. It's just odd. There was too many ideas. So again, Rob Zombie was given too much money, and I don't think there was a single person that was able to go, no. How about we don't? And I think that's a problem with a lot of people who have a big name. Again, we're not talking about these movies, but I think Jordan Peele has a similar problem. He has great ideas. He knows how to direct a movie. But you know what? Nobody's there to tell him no sometimes. So I don't think any of his movies are great. They're all just kind of like, I can tell what you were trying to do.
You know what? He finally really won me over with Nope. I actually love Nope.
Nope, I don't love, but it is my favorite movie is what he's done. And maybe because somebody told him nope.
You know what? Let's do an episode on that because I thoroughly enjoy that movie.
I don't know how much of a horror movie it actually is, but yeah.
I think it qualifies.
Also,
it's a mix of horror, sci-fi, and Western.
It's also, the creature was inspired by Evangelion, the anime. So we can talk about that more.
Yeah, I'll have to watch Evangelion.
I've been trying to get Craven to watch it forever. It's like one of my favorite things ever.
So,
anyways.
I am not an anime fan. My wife is a huge anime nerd, and Jessica is sort of a lapsed anime fan.
I watched it during the good years of the late 90s and early 2000s.
Did I say lapsed anime fan? I meant hipster anime fan.
No, it's just, I guess
she liked anime before it was popular.
Actually, and let me tell you though, but I don't, let me say, as a hipster though, the opposite is true. I don't say it like, ooh, I'm cooler than you. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I could have been cool. That's lame. Everything that made fun of in the 90s is now cool. And that is very lame to me. You know what I mean?
Oh, this is great.
Damn it.
That is really, really true. Also, not only that, but now that I think about it, true crime is a big thing now, and people thought you were a fucking weirdo if you talked about serial killers and shit back then.
They still do. True crime is also, I don't like that one because true crime has actually always been popular. Back in like the 1800s, they made songs about it instead of podcasts. Like, think about how when somebody was going to get executed, everyone lined up to do it. Crime has always been popular.
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit. And people still think I'm weird when I bring stuff up.
If it makes you feel any better, I think you're weird all the time, Jessica.
Oh, thanks. But no, it's like, yeah, everything now is like, I could have been cool.
I believe we call that ahead of your time. Jessica, this is, if you somehow die before me, this is what I'm going to say in your eulogy.
No, because I think that's what hipsters think.
Jessica was ahead of her time.
She was a dork before I was. But no, board games, painting figures, yeah. I could have been dating Henry Cavill. I never would want to. Anyways.
Besides, we love Craven.
What? But the Evangelion thing is, but no. But anyways, no. Where were we?
I think we were going to hit the point where I did my rebuttal to this rant.
Okay, go ahead. Rebut.
everything that you don't like about this movie is exactly what I love about it. Which is, you know, I think honestly why Rob Zombie is so divisive in a lot of ways, because all of the interstitial stuff, about half of it is pure chaos and unrelated to anything. There are a number of the interstitial things that I am pretty sure are supposed to be Denise's nightmares.
Okay, hold on.
And actually, the whole ending might be Denise's nightmare.
Sure. I don't have issues with all the clips in themselves. Mm-hmm. It's where they're put that makes no sense. If they were more towards the end, and then also I think for somebody who hasn't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre or other like typical slashers or something, it just takes away any question of what's going on. And I just feel like they could have been, they could be there. The ones they made are fine. They're just in weird places for the most part. I think they actually, towards the end of the movie, they work better than in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, the ones that are Denise's nightmares, even at the beginning of the movie, I think work well for showing us who Denise is, because even though she is completely unlikable, she is our final girl.
They're all unlikable.
They are all unlikable.
This does have the classic reason people don't like slashers is because all the characters suck.
I mean, I love the Firefly family, personally. Karen Black as...
I was talking about the victims.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like Karen Black in this role, honestly.
I love Karen Black in this role. She's so...
I guess she's got fine.
She's got this great combination of, like, sexual energy, but not from somebody you want sexual energy from, except you kind of do want sexual energy from that person. I mean,
I guess that's it. Okay. I'll say she's
Karen
fine.
Black. She's older, and they did some things with the makeup to make her look a little grungy, but she is still fucking gorgeous.
I will tell you this.
Well, I think
I
she's
will
dead
say
now,
Karen Black is actually great in this. My problem is, which is actually a compliment, not a takeaway, is that I have known older women like this, and I really don't like it.
Well, she is a villain. Let's not forget that she is a villain.
Hers is a little too real, though, other than the murdering part. You know what I mean?
I actually really do like. I know everybody absolutely despises Sherry Moon Zombie.
I think she's fine.
I think she's great in this.
She is annoying, but she's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's the whole deal.
It's him putting her in every movie ever since. Oh, actually, no. Wait, can I say real quick?
Yes, you have a microphone.
One of my notes was about how like I get bored at the 50-minute mark. I said Sherry Movie's ass is not flat ass is not saving this movie, because they have her in like spandex pants before it was like acceptable to wear that. Her ass is so flat. And I'm just like, you're trying to just shove your future wife's ass in this movie to make it better, and it's not working.
I'm fine with your ass.
I actually think she's really hot, but
I think she's extremely hot.
It's also the ass scenes is them trying to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre angle.
Okay, guys, I'm going to be a totally classless person right now.
I feel like I already was.
Well, you know, I know that a director's cut will probably never happen because the footage is just lost, but I always hope that it does, because part of what would go into the director's cut is more Sherry Moon Zombie nude, and I am so down with that. In all of the movies that Rob Zombie has done, we have seen her ass a number of times. That's
just not her best asset.
We've only seen her tits for like 3-5 seconds, and that's a fun 3-5 seconds, especially because she's getting weird with a skeleton, which is cool. But somebody, I don't remember if it was Zombie or if it was the studio, somebody balked at the sheer joy of necrophilia that Baby Firefly had in some of the footage. Because apparently she was getting it with either that skeleton or one of the dead cheerleaders. I don't know which, but... Okay, I'm gonna stop creeping on Rob Zombie's wife, because I legitimately actually really like them both.
I do too. I just don't. It is a problem having your spouse be in every movie.
Not as much as it is having Jeff Daniel Phillips in all of your movies. Oh fuck, that guy sucks. Ruined The Munsters. Could have been a good movie, but they had Jeff Daniel Phillips. Guy couldn't even do a caveman correctly.
I mean, you're talking about
the Rob Zombie stand-in from Lords of Salem, Herman Munster.
I'm sorry, that's what I was trying to make. I'm like, he's not just a caveman. He's like a lovable family caveman.
No, he's the Geico caveman.
I know, he's very, very bad. Anyway,
he's terrible in everything, and I actually
don't have strong opinions.
As much as I do. I actually might have liked the Munsters movie if it wasn't for Jeff Daniel Phillips being terrible at everything. Jeff Daniel Phillips, I don't want you on the show. You suck. Stop ruining Rob Zombie's movies.
Okay. Well, I was going to say...
Rob Zombie, how did you go from Bill Moseley to Jeff Daniel Phillips?
Well, you know. Anyways, I was going to say, so for all I have to say negative about this movie, and I do, because I am somebody who speaks in hyperbole, say I hate this movie a lot. I don't hate it. I just don't enjoy it. I would only recommend this movie if it's like, it's Halloween, you got a party going on, you're just trying to watch a trash horror movie that you can talk through. Like, you're drinking with buddies, you're smoking with buddies, you're just having a good time with buddies. So
this is probably the ultimate movie for that.
It doesn't matter if you talk through it at any point, but you can stop and watch it, then yes, I recommend this movie for that. I recommend this movie for a hangout. But just sitting down and watching it, it's a slog.
So I will try to succinctly encapsulate my feelings here. I don't think it's the best movie ever made. The characters are not great. The script is not the best. And yes, it absolutely is trying to be Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And everybody bitches about that. And they do so rightly. But what I don't think...
It's just too, blatant.
What I don't think Rob Zombie gets enough credit for in this movie is just the vision that he had for the look and the chaos and the feel. And what I would
like to remind again, it cost $7 million in 2003.
There's so much stuff in this that I find so visual appealing. There is this great scene that I love where Otis is just ranting about some, Charles Manson-esque nonsense. It doesn't matter what he's saying.
No,
but
that's a good scene.
They're pulling this weird trick where the first part of the scene is shot with blaring red lights on everything, and then they suddenly switch. Suddenly there's a blue light all behind Otis, and he's being hit with like a cold white light, and then they switch again to the full red light. And I love details like this. I love this visual chaos, as anybody who has ever seen the inside of my house might know.
Yeah, but to me, all of that, yes, it looks good, but it's like I said, when I didn't have prior information of the movies he was going to make, it's like, just stick to music videos, man.
I mean, that's what I love about this, though, is that it is basically music video the movie.
Well, I will say that,
which is again why I think Rob Zombie is so divisive, because that works for people like me. It does not work for people like you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so we'll probably do it some point soon, I hope. But I also don't like Natural Born Killers for the same reason.
Oh, that was my favorite movie for years.
I don't like that movie. Great soundtrack.
Oh, great soundtrack.
I do not like that movie.
Yeah, I adore that movie. I don't watch it as often as I watch House of a Thousand Corpses, because honestly, House of a Thousand Corpses is a yearly Halloween time watch for me. But yeah, I love the chaos. I actually love all the weird random interstitial cutaways, the Manson family-esque home movies, the weird guy yelling about how we're in hell in the desert that has literally nothing to do with anything. They just cut away to him for some reason. I like the dream sequences a lot. For me, this is not a movie that I go to for the story or for the characters. It's a movie that I go to for the visual chaos, and I absolutely adore that.
Cool.
Yeah. No.
Because I'm like, I agree with all of it, but then, like I said, 50 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I'm over it.
Yeah.
I just don't care anymore.
I think that the reasons that I love something...
an hour and a half, I'm like, really? Are we done yet?
Yeah, again, I think the reasons I love it are the reasons that a lot of other people hate it, and that is totally valid. If you haven't seen this movie, you can totally make a decision on whether you want to see it based on whether you're more of a Jessica or more of a Glenn.
No, but I still...
And that either way is valid.
It. Like I said, Halloween party, if you're going to a casual hangout where you don't want to over focus on something, this is a great movie to put up.
Also around
'Cause you're
Halloween
never
time, if you want to just get high and watch something
You're
wild
just
by
not gonna
yourself,
ever get
fucking
lost.
knock yourself silly.
You're never not going to be like, oh, wait, what's happening?
Because it doesn't matter.
It's all trash.
It's all chaos. Rob Zombie, I fucking love you. If you ever hear this, I'm a big fan. Also, your music rocks.
All right.
I cannot wait to see Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper live.
Well, good night, everyone. This has been Stream Screamed.
Oh, I want to talk about how much I love Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper.
No, but if you are fans of Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie, you should check out if Freaks on Parade is in your area. I believe we're seeing them at the beginning of the tour.
I think so. At the time of recording, I don't think that I think that they've started the tour, but that it's not very far in.
So yeah,
And
look it up if you care.
I can't wait. I cannot wait for that show. With the exception of the awkward conversations that I'm going to have between now and then. This is what happens when old men who are cool run their stupid mouths about shit they don't know shit about. Hey, here's a fucking hint. If everyone saying a particular thing is some old white guy who doesn't hang out with queer people or people of color, their opinion doesn't matter. Shut the fuck up.
Good night.